Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of 10 with Tom. I am Kerry, and today I'm going to be talking with you about codependency and your authentic self. So you may be thinking, that voice sounds familiar, maybe I've seen her on a Sunday, or maybe you've just heard me laughing in the background. What does this chick know about codependency? So I'm actually a recovering codependent myself, and I've been journeying towards healing from it for a really long time, probably even just a couple of years even. And, it's something that I have to do weekly check-ins on even because it's something that can rear its ugly head quite often when it's been a mindset of yours for a really long time. And when someone first suggested to me that I might be codependent, I was like, well, there's no ways. I am strong, confident, and sometimes stubborn of a person. Like, there's no ways that I'm codependent. But something just kept niggling at the back of my head. And I'm the type of person that then has to go and look more into it, even if it's just to prove the person wrong. But so that's what I did. And here's the critical thing. You can't fix a hole in the wall if you don't see it. Awareness is what is critical. And so that's what I really want to just bring to you guys today. Maybe you're codependent, or you know someone who is, or maybe you like me and someone has suggested it to you and you're thinking, that's not really me. So these 7 minutes or so that I'm going to journey with you, I ask just that you open your hearts, you open your minds to awareness on the possibility of codependency. So codependency, what is it? Codependents are just basically full of fear, and that sounds really terrible, but bear with me and you'll find out why, right? We are always worried that we're not good enough, that others are going to reject us at who we are at our core. We sometimes can hold on to relationships longer than we should because we fear being alone. We need to be needed, and we have a fear of being rejected and abandoned. We are unconsciously seeking connection and validation all the time. We generally have low sense of self-esteem and self-worth, and we generally lack boundaries as well. Our happiness or our mood is affected by others' happiness and their moods, what they say or how they feel or behave towards us. We tend to have a lack of sense of self. In a relationship, codependent love is actually quite anxious. We're always worried about, do they love us enough? And what else can we do in order to earn their love and achieve their love? We're constantly in a place of anxiety and worry and perpetual worry. We are often rescuers and people pleasers. We will suffer in silence because we don't like to ask for help. We feel responsible to fix others, but at the expense of ourselves. Our identity ends up being wrapped in being needed by someone else. And when we take care of everyone and their needs, actually the reason behind it is that we're hoping for something in return. We're not just doing it because we care for you. We're doing it because we want to get validation and worth and a sense of self from helping you. It's that reason behind it that leads to the codependency. And ultimately, without realizing it, actually all of these things add up to us making other people gods in our lives. We center our worlds around that person, and as a Christ follower, no one else but God should be the center of my life and be a God in my life. We tend to forget where someone else's responsibilities begin and where our responsibilities stop. Some of this you may be listening to and going, well, hey, that just sounds like loving someone. That's what I do. And to an extent, that's true. Codependency is basically just normal behaviors, but they've been taken too far. We've enmeshed ourselves with other people. We've lost our sense of self within someone else. And often codependents have actually lost a lot. They've gone through a trauma and something within us is feeling incomplete. And so we tend to cling to someone, sometimes anyone that we can, in order to find those missing pieces within them for ourselves. Codependency, if you like, can simply be defined as prioritizing someone else's needs and problems and issues over our own mental and physical health. Codependents basically don't believe in our inherent value, but we need to look for external measures in order to prove that value and worth. So how does this all play out in our lives? You may be thinking it sounds like pretty hectic, pretty deep. There's no jokes involved. There's no laughing in the background. How does this play out in our lives? And it's a really big topic. It's something that really can't be covered in 10 minutes. But I'll just cover a few things today so that if you're looking for awareness, this is where you can actually grasp onto something. So the biggest thing, and you're not going to like hearing it, is that we tend to lie. And if this is where you're going to switch off, please don't. Bear with me. When I say we tend to lie, it's because what we do is actually withhold our true thoughts and feelings. And we generally tend to do that because we're actually scared of what others are going to think of us. We're afraid that if we speak up, we're going to make someone else angry. We're going to make them not like us. We're going to make them reject us. We sometimes don't even know or accept that what we say doesn't have to make someone else happy. If we just speak our truth, it doesn't matter if it doesn't make someone else happy. But it's hard for us to accept that. And what we need to understand about all of this is that those emotions, those feelings, if we don't deal with them, they actually end up controlling us. And we need to know that what we're feeling right now, it is important, but it's not concrete. Albert Ellis, who developed the rational emotive therapy, says that what we think actually creates how we feel, because feelings have a life of their own. Emotions are actually able to create beliefs. And, blocked feelings have actually been identified and proven as the barrier to joy and functional behavior, opening our hearts and even like physical health. And that's true. I know when I've had blocked feelings, I'll often have issues with my hernia and my ulcers and things like that because I've blocked things away. I haven't dealt with those feelings or emotions. So whether we repress our feelings or we obsess about them, we resist them, we ignore them, or sometimes talk ad nauseum about them, it's not about that. It's about getting it out. The only way we can deal with them is by getting them out. So getting them out, and I know I've said that a few times now, but it's a way of self-care. And the most important thing on the road to recovery of codependency is self-care, is developing a sense of respect for ourselves, where we normally put ourselves second or last on the list. We develop that sense of respect and love for ourselves, and that is how we start a journey towards codependency recovery. And when I was talking earlier about enmeshment, it's a pretty weird word, and I don't mean like mesh stockings or any kind of a fishnet or any kind of weird stuff like that. Enmeshment is basically a form of attachment. It's when we lose ourselves within another person. And this type of attachment or enmeshment within codependency usually manifests itself as a type of obsessive worry or a deep-seated belief that we can only be happy when someone else is happy or when something in their life has been achieved because of us. And it's hard to stop thinking like that. So for that reason, what is critical is that we have to learn to detach. And now hear me out, when people hear detach, they're like, oh, well, I can't do that. Like, I need to be present in the moment. But detachment and dissociation are two completely different things. Dissociation is the denial of what's happening or the minimizing of the impact of trauma. Whereas detachment is actually letting go of the outcome and being fully present in the moment. We can't solve everybody's issues as much as we would like to do. And the thought of it even, we wouldn't be getting so much pain and resentment and guilt if we could solve other people's problems. The only problems we can solve are our own or those that we've co-created. And so that's why we need to start dealing with ourselves, dealing with our own. And there is hope, there is recovery, and there is restoration. The goal of codependency recovery is not actually independence, it's interdependence. It's when we are able to care for and nurture others, but not to the detriment of one's own personal well-being. When we are interdependent, we give from a place of generosity and surplus rather than from obligation or from a sense of wanting to get something for what we're giving. And we're able to actually receive support from others for things that we cannot do for ourselves. So going forward, what I'd love you to do is when you're in a situation, ask yourself, am I wanting to make this person happy by stepping in and fixing it for them? Am I looking for their validation by doing this? And if so, you need to make that decision for yourself that the only person going forward that you're going to seek the validation from is yourself. We need to stop looking to others and start seeing ourselves, where we've almost got blinkers on towards ourselves all the time. We need to start seeing ourselves. We need to heal from codependency, and that takes time, it takes patience, it takes tenacity, and most of all, it takes courage. But as soon as we become less other-focused, we can become self-focused. You need to honor yourself. You need to honor your authentic self. You need to speak and be your truth. You need to seek your own approval and permission. You need to feel and observe peace, calm, and stability, letting go of what you cannot control. Being okay with saying no to someone and being okay for the fact that you can't change things. and you need to choose love over fear. So that's just a little bit of an insight into codependency and being your authentic self. There is so much wise words out there in teachings, and if you want to dive deeper, I'd love to chat with you. You can reach out to us. But this is just my little insight, and I really hope that it's helped you. And if it has, please share this message with those you think need to hear it as well. It's been so great to be with you guys today, and we'll see you next time for another 10 with Tom. Cheers.